We were on a joint UN mission, UNICEF and UNRWA. We were trying to take life-saving medical, nutrition supplies, as well as some fuel to restart water points to the north of Gaza. We left early on Tuesday morning and we're on our way to the Wadi Gaza checkpoint, which is one of the main access points to get across to the north, when we were instructed to wait in a holding area just south of the checkpoint. While we were there, gunfire broke out in the vicinity. It appeared to come from the direction of the checkpoint towards civilians, who then turned and ran in the other direction. And we were there seeing all of this happen, and then the bullets hit our car. It hit the window and the door of where I was sitting, as well as the bonnet of the car, and a colleague in another vehicle saw bullets ricocheting off the ground. So we were very lucky that we were okay.
So some bullets actually hit the door you were sitting beside. What was the sound like when that happened, and were you aware of it when it happened?
Yeah, we were aware of the shooting, and then I was very aware when it hit the window right next to my head and the door next to me. It was loud, but it is an armoured vehicle. So that's why in these images that we see here, it doesn't look so bad, but we were really lucky. If we hadn't been in an armoured vehicle, that would have shattered the window and things could have been a lot worse.
So both Hamas and the IDF were aware of the details and plan of your convoy?
Yeah, so this was a coordinated mission, which means that we alert the parties of the conflict to where we're going, at what time, for what reason, and we receive a safety assurance in response from Israel that we can carry out that mission. In the morning, we got the green light to leave, and then, as I said, we were instructed to wait in this holding area, so they were aware of our presence there, and we were in clearly marked UN vehicles.
Is it clear who fired the shots?
It's clear that they were coming from the direction of the checkpoint, away from the checkpoint, but I didn't see the source of the gunfire.
What does this highlight about the situation there?
Look, I just think it really underscores, about a week after the World Central Kitchen tragedy where Zomi and her colleagues were killed, that those issues with coordination haven't been resolved and we're still put at risk on the ground. But also, Joe, it just demonstrates how dangerous it is here for Palestinians. I've been in hospitals this week and seen children with horrific injuries, children that don't have these vests and the cars and are at far greater risk than we are.
How critical is it that these supplies do get through?
It's so important. After that incident, we wanted to proceed, and we actually waited at that holding point for another 2.5 hours maybe before deciding that we had waited too long and the mission was no longer feasible. We had to turn back. But we're going to try again, hopefully this weekend, same convoy, same supplies, and have another crack at getting them up there, because the children in the north are dying of malnutrition. A famine can happen any moment now, so it's desperately needed.
But how do you feel about going back up there, considering what happened?
I think I'll be a bit more nervous if I go again than I was on Tuesday, but this is not an isolated incident. We know that it's dangerous here in Gaza, but we've just got to keep trying to, one, make it safer, and two, continue the work while we wait for that safety to be improved, because for the children and families of Gaza, the needs are just so great. So I'm determined to go back.
And you're based in Rafah, are you? That's in the south, close to the border with Egypt, as I understand it. How desperate is the situation there with food and sanitation?
Yeah, it's really bad. Obviously, the food situation in the north is worse because we haven't been able to get aid there. But in the south, the sanitation, the crowding, there's 1.2 million people in a town that was set up for 250,000. So it's really busy. And what really strikes you here is that it's a city of children. Of that 1.2 million, every second person is a child. And that's why I think a ground offensive in Rafah would just be so catastrophic. It's children that would bear the brunt.
After the World Central Kitchen deaths, has the aid effort eased off a bit with some organisations? Well, World Central Kitchen was pulling out, as I understand it, after that incident. Has the aid effort overall been affected by what happened?
Look, I know that some organisations had to pause their work, and that certainly has an impact, because any and all aid is needed in Gaza at the moment, given the restrictions and the challenges that we face. it's just so important. But from the point of view of the UN, we're staying and delivering, and we're still pushing through. And we really need two things. We need more aid to get in, but then we also need the conditions to deliver that aid to be improved. We need to know that we'll have telecoms, that our missions, when we're told they're safe, that they'll actually be safe. We need better access, all of these things that mean that if more trucks finally do come through, we have the capacity to roll them to the people that need them on the other end.